Welcome, everybody, to the Alive with Courage podcast, where we get to interview leaders that are living fully alive and courageously in their calling. I'm super excited to have Ben Glassman with us this morning. Ben is the executive director and founder of Legacy Makers, and he is a living picture of what it means to step out in strength and courage and lead in the ways in which God has called him and designed him to. Ben is a dad of 5, married to Meg, and he just loves being with his family, surfing, coffee, connoisseur, all the things that make up the leader that Ben is for us today. So Ben, thanks so much for joining us on the podcast.
What's up, dude?
Hey, man. So stoked.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. This has been such a treat for me. I've been thinking about having this conversation for months, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, really, the purpose of this podcast is I want to interview leaders who I've seen, not just heard, but seen, like living fully in strength and in courage, right, to the calling that they are called to. And you, man, I'll just share a little bit about like how I came to know about you. I remember being on the beach with a mutual friend of ours, Ben Appleby, and we were just watching kids play in the surf, and it was like a sunset evening. And I was in a hard season in my marriage with Deanna, and we were really butting heads around like vision and future. You know, I was in a season of work where I was like a young new entrepreneur. And it was like, this thing has to work and I've got to make it work, you know, and she was seeing me just like run out into the world to try to go create what was on my heart. Yeah. And it was clashing with some of the things that were going on for her. And so we were really having a hard time. And I was like, man, somebody needs to be holding a space for families, specifically marriages, to like align on vision, like to have a vision that they can rally around together and to go wrestle and work through like, what are we creating? Because we were just not on that same page. I had my vision and I was like, see ya, babe, like kind of rocketing off in this rocket ship with this community that I was running with to go create. Yeah. And it was just like, we were just misaligned. And, you know, I was kind of actually passionately talking to Ben Appleby about that. And, you know, we go our separate ways or whatever. And then I don't know if it was that night or whatever it was, but he was like, there is a guy doing this. Did you know there's a guy doing this? His name's Ben, and he started this nonprofit called Legacy Makers, and they essentially help families live on purpose. And I was like, that's crazy. No way. Like epic, you know, like right timing, you know, like when the student is ready, the teacher arrives. That's kind of how it landed for me. And so I think we got introduced through Ben Appleby, and then there was like this legacy mapping process that was going to be happening, you know, in a couple months out, which was like perfect timing. And I just felt like I was like the first one to sign up because I was we so need this, right? So I'd love to just start by just learning a little bit about like, what is Legacy Makers and like this thing that you had created, you know, that we jumped into so quickly, like what is it and how does it work?
Yeah, well, Legacy Makers in a broad stroke perspective is a movement. Legacy Makers is a movement of families living on purpose all across the nation. But to boil it down into some nuts and bolts, Legacy Makers is about helping families learn to build a legacy that they're proud of in all facets, from the marriage, from the way that they're raising and discipling their children, to their rhythms, and then how they're passing what they've created in their home on to their kids, that they continue that positive trajectory. So we do all kinds of trainings. We have, like you mentioned, we have a specific training called Legacy Mapping, which is essentially like a legacy discovery process. And we take families through a 7-step process to help them identify and discover and then unite around what matters most to them. So there's like a specific set of steps that we walk through. And at the end, they have a clear understanding of this is who we are, this is what we care about, and this is what we're going to do about it. And then from there, the other training is called legacy development. And it's really just taking this vision that they've discovered in legacy mapping and then learning how to turn it into reality. So they're applying what we call the legacy development system over the course of 12 weeks. And each of the weeks, they're coming together and they're talking about the different things that they're learning and they're growing in, but then there's specific actions that they have to take from the workbooks. There's homework, and they're using this system that we've created to establish their intentions, to overcome barriers, and then to remember their why. And they're going through that cycle for their marriage and then their family discipleship and then living out their legacy. and leaving their legacy. So they're establishing their intentions in their marriage, overcoming barriers in their marriage, and then remembering their why for their marriage. And then in discipleship, it's what's their discipleship intentions for their family? But what are the barriers they're facing? Why is this important? And then living their legacy, like what kind of legacy are they going to be leaving? How are they going to leave it? And then why is it important? So you go through that system, and it really ingrains the ability and the skill to build a legacy that they're proud of, because it's creating new habits, and it's in a space of accountability with a group. And then at the end of it, there's a commencement ceremony. So it's like this rite of passage for this family who's gone through the ranks, and it's not easy. The families that have gone through this, it's transformational, but it's hard work. It's not easy because there's a lot of distractions happening in the world, constantly vying for our attention as couples, as families, as kids. And so it's not easy. So when they're all done, we have a commencement ceremony. We give them a special Legacy Makers token, and it's just it's a baton. So it kind of symbolizes this heritage that they've been given, and then the things that they're going to be intentionally doing to bolster it up and build it up, and then how they're passing it on to the next generation.
Yeah, that's cool. I just had this thought of like the token getting multiplied, like say they have 4 kids, right? And the one token turns into 4, you know?
Exactly.
It's like, dude, carry this thing on, like almost like a deathbed moment when like the parents are dying. And it's
I know. Unfortunately, we don't give enough tokens for each of their kids to do that. So we should work on that.
That's cool. Dang, that's so powerful, man.
Yeah. That's good.
I know for us, like when we went through the legacy mapping process, we landed, like there was a super, like you guys, it's like you said, it's not easy work. Like you guys walk through the trenches with some of these couples. I mean, for us, I remember this one segment where there was, you have us sort our values, right? So we get like a deck of like 50 cards that has like all these different values on them. And I get to sort my values, the ones that I never want. What are the categories? There's like,
well, always, and sometimes, and then seldom, and then never.
Yeah. So there's like 4 categories, and you take these 50 value statements and you put them into those 4 categories. And it was insane. Like as I was doing it, like next to Deanna, you know, of course we're kind of like peeking at each other, like what's going in what column.
Yeah.
And like so many of my like seldom and never were like her always and like primary ones, you know? And so and she's just like so disappointed that like some of my things are not making her top list, you know? And it was, again, I mentioned there was already tension like in that season. And so when it came time to try to be like, okay, so how do you combine these and what are your top 5 values for both of you? It was so challenging. And there was tears going, and it was like, it was kind of like the whole thing was melting. And I remember this like really courageous moment where your wife, Meg, like really stepped in and was just like, hang on, like this isn't division. This isn't like this spirit of separateness or like lack of common vision. I mean, because the enemy was like right there wanting to just be like, yep, told you, look, it's right on the table. You guys are so different. You're so separate, right? Like, and just reinforcing all those crappy narratives that we had been living under. And there was this really cool like rescue moment where, and I mean, do you see yourselves in that role, like as you guys walk with couples? Because it really impacted us, where we needed this like angel of sorts to come in and mediate and be like, wait a minute, there's something greater here. And because I think, and I don't know that you guys would say it this way, but when I think about like the larger story of what God is doing versus the small stories that we get stuck in, I think Deanna and I were stuck in a small story of like division and separateness. And I feel like the legacy mapping process really opened us back up into the larger story of like what God's doing and why he put Deanna and I together. And so I just felt like you guys were like this great messenger to help pull the wool off our eyes and get us back into the larger story of like what he's doing. So I guess I'm really curious, like, have you seen moments of like interception or transformation within couples, or stories that you've seen like really like couples like do 180s?
I mean,
they're going through this.
It definitely takes like a third party. You got to have someone else's eyes on it to see the bigger picture. Yeah. Because you're right. When a couple is in the middle of, whatever life is happening, and it's hard and it's challenging, and you're frustrated with each other, and you're coming to this experience, and all you can see is what's wrong. You're just totally glazed over with not being able to see what's really happening, like you said, like God's bigger story. So you just have to have someone that's there to like kind of expose that a little bit, and be able to tie in the pieces and say, you know what, like, let's actually talk about this. And maybe, because again, let's like, you're looking at what's on the surface in this part of the process. You're looking at the card and what the word looks like.
And that card might even mean something different
exactly.
to me than it even does.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you have to have someone there that kind of facilitate that conversation.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you just get stuck. But we've had people that, honestly, like we've had people like it's been too hard. And so they've given up. But most of the time, like when we are there and we're helping them kind of shepherd through this conversation, we're kind of guiding them through this conversation. It's so powerful to see how they just come together and like, oh yeah, that's right. Or like, oh man, like that's really great. Like, I'm glad we shared that actually. And it's really refining and just and solidifying most of the time.
Yeah.
But
oh, that's so good. Yeah, we landed, and I'm going to read it. I feel so bad for having to read this, but like it says, our statement that we landed on is that God made the Schmidts to create life-giving moments and engage the brokenhearted to restore the kingdom in all its beauty.
So good.
Like that's what we landed on for our vision, right?
So powerful.
Yeah. And our values that we landed on are spirit-filled, authenticity, seeing people, seeing others, right? The grit, we're communal and we're resourceful to go get it done, right?
Yeah.
And like I was just reading this last night and I was like, oh my gosh, like the word brokenhearted just like hit me because this whole like last year I've been sitting, I think it's Isaiah 61 where it talks about how like the Savior is sent to go bind up the brokenhearted, right?
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, whoa, that's like a central theme of what Jesus came to go restore was these like broken, fragmented parts of our hearts where fear is just rampant and trauma and all these things. And he's like, I've come to heal the brokenhearted.
That's your mission statement.
Yeah, and it's in our mission statement of like God made the Schmidts to create life-giving moments to engage the brokenhearted and to restore the kingdom in all its beauty. And like in this word spirit-filled, I don't even think we knew what we were talking about when we wrote that down like 3 or 4 years ago in the process. But like spirit-filled has like totally entered our house. And like we are like very curious about the Spirit. Like what is he doing? You know, like what if I could walk into a moment where I don't know what to do and trust that the Spirit's with me, you know, like, and so it's been cool to just see some of these values that I don't even, for whatever reason, those were the ones that went down, but they're like still coming to life like 3 or 4 years later. Like, yeah.
I mean, when you have the opportunity to get clear on these specific things, it changes everything. Because it's like all the opportunities now are just kind of filtered out. And you have this clear focus and a direction. And when you have 2 people who are going in the same direction, I mean, it doesn't look perfect throughout the years. It's not, you know, this perfect bulleted list and you're checking it off perfectly. But you still have this guardrail, this focus. You have this track that, okay, we're going somewhere. We're not really sure how we're going to get there, but we know we're supposed to be on this track, you know? And just, I mean, it just changes everything. It's just so cool that
totally. Oh, it totally simplifies. And I think this is the rescue that keeps pulling us back into the larger story when we get stuck in those small stories of division and whatever that takes us out, you know? So I think having this reference point to be like, get back up into the larger story. There's a reason why you guys are here. There's a reason why you guys have created these 3 beautiful daughters that you have, you know, like it's, something birthing out of this space.
So good.
Okay, so I like just so fun just to share the impact of how this is still just reverberating in our lives after like 4 years. I think what I'm really curious about too, for you specifically, because I want to like kind of get under the hood of like you leading this thing, because you and Meg really leading this thing. And like I make up, there was like a moment for you where like this work was unavoidable. It was something brewing, passion stirring in your heart. Like for whatever reason, God gave you the eyes to see this need for families. And I just would love to go back to that, like that moment or that inception moment where it was almost like what was Ben doing? Like, what were you doing for work? Like, what was the season like? Did you have kids? Were you married or whatever? And then it's like what started brewing that like actually called you out of whatever you were doing? Almost like that Abrahamic moment where he's like, yo, over here to the burning bush, I got something new for you. I have an adventure for you. Like, what was the genesis of this thing?
Yeah, I think it's multiple pronged, and it's happened in stages, because I don't know if there's been this real calling sense or this real like conviction for families at the outset. Yeah, I think that's grown over time. I think it started more from like just my personal experience. And coming from like we were in a season, 8-9 years ago, where we just had way too many things going on. We were just up to our eyeballs in like time spent doing things that we didn't even know why we were doing them. We were remodeling apartments. I was working 2 full-time jobs. I was still going to school full-time. We just had Camden, our first kid, and we were just disconnected. We were not in a good place. And at the time where I was working, we were going through this strategic planning experience for the organization. And it just caused me to really evaluate, like, okay, if this organization is being really intentional about like, what are they doing? Why are they doing it? Where are they going? Like, I think I need to start thinking like that too for my own life. And so that was kind of like the catalyst for just my own life. Like, we had all these things going on. We did not even know why. How do we get here? So we pumped the brakes. Megan and I had like a few date nights around that time. And I just took a bunch of the questions that we had learned and kind of talked through in this conversation where I was working, and just kind of spinned them for just Megan and I, like our family. And essentially it was legacy mapping. I mean, it was like the very raw form of it. It was just questions on a big chart on the wall. But we just talked about like who are we? Like, where are we going? What do we want for our family? What things do we want our kids to experience? What's our vision?
But if you pause that for a second, like, because you could have just gone through that experience for work and then been like, cool, that's at work. Like, now I'm back to the chaos at home. Like, what do you think, like, what was happening in you that was like, no, I got to go? Because so many men, and a lot of the audience that are here in this space is men, right? Is like, hey, like, what does it look like to be strong and courageous for the things that like matter most? And like, I feel like it could be so easy just to like be passive and just go back and deal with whatever the chaos is at home. But something shifted for you of like, no, I'm going to lean in here. Like, I'm going to go carve some new trail here with Meg. What do you think? Maybe this is the first time you've thought about it, but I'm just curious. Yeah. Like, what do you think caused you to lean in with courage versus retreated with passivity?
I am honestly just thinking about that specifically for this instance.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've thought about it. I think I was young, I was like, I don't know, 24, 23 or whatever it was. I think part of it is my upbringing, like being faithful and true and not wavering and not giving up. I think that's kind of was just ingrained in me.
Like on the marriage, or?
I think just in life, just like, but then also I have this like innate, and I don't know, I think there's a healthy side to it and then there's like an unhealthy side to it, but I have an innate drive to want to improve. And like, I crave feedback. I crave to like hear people's thoughts about how did I do here? What did I do with this? And so I think I saw it as an opportunity to improve, but then also it was like I said, it was an unhealthy season. We were like not doing well. And so it's like, there was also this glaring reality. Like, if we kept going down that path, it was not going to end well.
Yeah.
And thankfully I could see that based on my childhood. I could see like, okay, the patterns that I was starting to demonstrate and exhibit were patterns that I saw in my upbringing.
Like what? Like, what are some examples?
Just like substance abuse, addiction, stuff like that, where I was like, I was starting to live into that stuff, and it was not good. And so I was like, okay, this is like
I'm on repeat mode here.
Yeah, exactly. I could see the pattern repeating, and I knew that I didn't want it to repeat. And so I knew I had to do something. So I think there's like this innate desire to improve and want to be the best. But then also it was like, it was either like, this is the moment, like I need to make a change.
Like, I'm not going back to that.
Yeah, for sure. So that was like, I think that was really the big catalyst. Maybe there's more in there. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's cool too. It sounds like Meg was down for the adventure of the conversation and what could come up from this. Because I would imagine these are questions that don't have nice, neat bows to. You have to actually lift some of these questions to really pump out answers to them, right? Like, which is what we experienced in legacy mapping. And so, okay, got it. So yeah, it's like we pressed in, started having some of these conversations.
Yeah, so I guess the story continues where we got clear on these things for our family, and it changed everything. I mean, in a matter of like 6 to 12 months, like we were on a whole new path. Like we were like excited. We were like, okay, we're going to stop doing these things. I actually quit school. The job that I was doing the amount of hours I was working, I got really clear on like, I need to set some boundaries. And I think just even in our family, like we had these values that we wrote down: community, intentionality, adventure. And we actually took time to plan out those things in a calendar year. And it was so exciting. And it was like, okay, we're committed to these things for sure. Everything else, we don't know. Right now, we know we're for sure doing these things. We're going camping. Yeah. We're going to have friends over for dinner, and that's going to be our focus. And just doing that over time and continuing, like it changed everything.
Wow.
And then like, I don't know, year and a half, 2 years after that.
Well, before you get there, the excitement, I was feeling the
Yeah.
like all of a sudden we're now living the life we feel called to live or designed to live or want to live.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, just the razor edge clarity of like, this is what we're about. This is what we're not about.
Yeah.
Like, and how you get to just take out the trash, so to speak. Yeah. Now we get to focus on this. I mean, that is exciting. Like, that's life-giving. Like, oh.
Yeah, it definitely was.
Yeah.
I think that's just what was so helpful.
Because like in my work, like when I think of the definition of say vision, it's basically like a snapshot of the future that produces like passion and energy, right? Where you're just like, oh, like, can you see the year? Yeah. Like, look how beautiful this is going to be. Like we've got six dinner nights on the communal value. We've got 4 trips we're going to take. Yes. Like this is epic, right?
Yeah.
Like
so life-giving.
How do you think that translated? I know you just had Camden at the time, but I know you guys have been practicing this year over year, and it's like, I guess what kind of dad does that like actually communicate to the family versus the like? I just think of like the 2 different dads there that could show up every day to the family. Yeah. And I'm sure we still struggle with like the 2 dads that show up, you know, like, but it almost just seems like
it was a 9-day difference. Yeah, for sure. Like
what was different?
Well, from being disconnected, I was just absent. Like I was working all day, coming home, eating a quick dinner, and then going to these apartments and then staying up till 2 a.m.
Wow.
Cutting stuff and nailing stuff and drywalling and painting and tiling and and on repeat for like 8 months. And while trying to squeeze in school. So I just wasn't there, first of all. And then, just the disconnection and then the emotional just trauma that like it put Megan through, the disconnection, like, you know, and then not being there for Camden, my daughter. Like, you know, I have limited memories of like being with her versus after all that changed, it was like, I was just there. I was present. I was like, you know, my phone was like not a distraction. And I would sit down and I had way more time to do what was important.
Yeah. What you had deemed important. Dang. Something about that alignment, and I know it's probably a moving target at times, but like when you start getting closer to that alignment of like, this is what we say we're about, this is what we plan our calendar around, and then we actually do it. Yeah. And I would imagine like sitting at the table, feeling that alignment is something that like most people don't know. Like they don't know how life-giving and how much of a self-care gift that is to them to be actually living. I mean, in some of the coaching work we've done, like that integrity, like living in integrity with like what you say you're going to do in your life versus what you do in your life. Like,
well, and I think there was an alignment of roles. It was like Megan wasn't doing everything for the family anymore. Like she wasn't just leading, you know, like I came in and it was like a sense of strength and leadership now for the family. You know, for like, this is who we are, this is what we're going to be doing. And me taking the initiative to plan the times when we're going to sit here and we're going to have a family mission meeting. We're going to talk about the new year. We're going to spend time. We're going to plan out how, like, when are we going to pray? When are we going to have our family worship nights and family teaching nights? And I think there was like this relief from Megan. Wow. I'm like, oh, man, I can finally just be who I'm supposed to be.
Dang.
Because he's doing what he's supposed to do, you know?
Whoa.
Yeah. So I think there's that too. Like the alignment of roles.
I love that.
Yeah.
Like there's a calming in the role, like, and I would imagine you felt more aligned because you're like, I'm actually doing the job that it's been gnawing at me, you know? Totally. And then she's like, I've got somebody leading.
And it wasn't like perfect, but it's grown. But that was like a clarifying situation.
That's so good.
Yeah.
So at some point you decided like, okay, we're starting to see fruit from this. Like, how do we, like, what shifted when you're like, okay, this isn't just the Glassman family.
Oh yeah.
What if this could be something else? Like,
well, it was when we wanted to make a family crest. So we had our values, we had our mission statement, and I was like, I just saw some family crests online or something, and I was like, hey Matt, can you make one of these? Because she does graphic design, and so she's like, oh yeah. So she made it for us, and it was just so cool because it was like this picture of like us, but in like a symbolic form. Yeah. You know, it's a shield with the Glassman and our family motto and the different symbols that kind of mean parts of our mission and our values. And we got it in stickers, we got it on patches, we got it on, you know, a sign in our house. And so it just kind of encapsulates everything. And that was the moment where I'm like, I wonder if this could be like helpful for other families. And that was in like 2017 maybe. And it wasn't, you know, 2 years until that when we started actually thinking, just due to like where we were at with work, what we feel like we had accomplished with the job that I was in, and just this sense of like, I think there's more. I think God's calling us to more, not necessarily to impact families, but just like, I think he's calling us to take a step. And at the time, we were playing with the idea of the legacy mapping concept, and we had formulated a more, concise and, systematic approach to legacy mapping, and, put all these documents down. And we started just with different couples, taking them through this process, 19, and asking them for feedback and thoughts, and like, hey, do you think this is valuable? Like, did you like it? What things would you change? And from the feedback, it was like, yeah, this is great. And so, yeah, we really more so out of just our connection to God and praying about like what his steps were for us, we just sensed the Lord was calling us to take a step of faith, jump out of the steady job that I was in and go and help serve families. And that was in January of 2020. And that was when we made that decision. We were like out in the desert praying in a jacuzzi.
Perfect.
It was a nice, beautiful evening. And we just like, all right, this is it.
Wow.
So yeah, we did it. And that was in January of 2020. And so we made the decision, and then COVID came, and that changed everything. It essentially accelerated my timeline to exit where I was working by like 4 or 5 months, but they were generous to pay the rest of my salary up to the point when I said I was going to leave. Ooh. But because of COVID, it shortened that timeline, but they were still willing to finish out my salary. God. So it was a huge blessing, and it was like this just God moment. Wow. I was like, okay, we got some time here.
I got you.
Yeah. It's like,
dude, I love those. So like, to me, that's like that inception moment of like, God's like, go to the land I will show you. Yeah. Here's enough of the vision to like have you jump, right? And I just think of like the strength and the courage that's needed in order to say yes to something like that. Like, and I guess I'm super curious because I know, and I think this conversation is valid because, 6 years later, like you guys are still in this adventure.
Yeah.
And like so much has changed through the adventure, but like you can make a courageous leap of faith, right? But I think it, like in a lot of ways, it has to come from some sort of source of strength. Like, because if you have a heart that's just buried in lies, or buried in I'm not good enough, or buried in like we're gonna fail, like these identity statements that just sort of take out our hearts, that they come, we have to fend off and fight like some of these attacks that come on our heart. But it's super hard to go say yes to something courageous when your heart is buried in fear, right? In fear or lack of strength. And so I guess from that moment when you said yes to even now, I'm just super curious, like how do you cultivate that strong heart? And it could be anything from like, I run every day to like, I'm like, I go through this process with the Lord, or like, I'd love to get under the hood of like, like, how do you stay courageous like in the journey? And I know there's ups and downs on that, where it's like, sometimes I just going through days, weeks, and months of just getting hammered by fear, and then it's like, okay, but like, how do you draw yourself out of those heart postures that don't serve courage? Because this thing has been built on one courageous decision, one faithful, courageous decision, one risky decision after another, and it's like, how do you do that, like time and time again to keep evolving the thing? Well,
something I just thought of, I remember this exact moment. And it was when I was like 15. We were at a Young Life camp. And I think this has like been like it was a core truth that God implanted in me when I was like 15. And I think that's been carried with me.
Do you mind sharing it?
Yeah. So I was essentially, at Young Life, I don't know if you've ever been to a Young Life camp,
I haven't.
But they're really fun. But there's always like these moments where you're kind of like taking a risk, like ropes course, or like rappelling, or jumping off the high dive or whatever. The one for this instance was one of those giant swings, huge, like, like a 2-seater swing, but it's like a regular swing, but it's like, 80 feet high, and you're just jumping off and you're swinging down. And I just remember sitting there, and I had the thought, I was like, all right, if God loves me, he's going to take care of me. And it was like this thought that I had. And so I just trusted. Okay. I was freaked out.
Yeah.
I was like, gosh, I'm like really scared, but I just had that thought. And so I did it, and I made it. I was fine. And I don't know if it was like that exact moment. I just remember that truth was like planted, and it was, does God love me? Yeah. Okay. Well, what does that mean? That means he's going to take care of you. Like, he loves you. And it doesn't matter like what happens, like God loves you. So like whatever happens is his love. It's like his plan, and you can trust. And that's really just stuck with me. And in some sense, I've probably been blind to just certain responsibilities or wisdom or just common sense in certain situations as life has happened and as we progressed in this journey, where I'm just like, okay, God loves me. We're going to do this. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's go. You know, in that sense. But I think that's been a guiding force for me, is that core truth. But then I think there's other things too. I think one of the biggest things that has helped us continue on this journey is like our support system. I feel like we are so blessed and so fortunate to have such great community and friends who really care about us, like you guys. And we have several community groups in our church and the pastors. And it's like, I feel like and this honestly really started, I think, through that initial legacy mapping that Megan and I did like 9 years ago. It was like community. That was like one of our core values. And so I feel like we've like done a really good job of building almost like a fortress of just people around us, like a safety net of advice, of counsel, of encouragement, you know, like helping out with the kids or bringing meals over, whatever, you know. And it's just been this like whole thing. And it's like, you know, it's not anything that we've done. It's just this group. I don't know. And I think too, like just the consistent, steady presence of my wife's support and confidence in God. First of all, like she trusts God, and that has been so freeing, I think, for both of us, but for me, because she trusts God enough to trust me. And that's like game changer, because she's not worried if I'm going to make the wrong decision, because she knows that God loves her. And so it's just like this interesting dynamic. I think that's been helpful. And then, I think just like, it's like a muscle, right?
Yeah.
Like courage is like a muscle. It gets stronger the more you use it, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know. So I think the more courageous decisions you make, for me, it was based on that truth of like, God loves me.
Yeah.
It's like, I've gotten like more accustomed to the risk behind those decisions. I don't know.
I think it's super well said. Like, because what I heard you saying at that experience at like 15, I had a moment where I could jump off this thing in fear and just be like totally crapping my pants the whole time. Yeah, which maybe happened anyways, but like, I could have entered into this situation in fear, or I could actually step out in love and take the risk, like step off the platform, right? Like, and I think that distinction between like I could start live this decision, this life, this thing we're gonna go create. I could live it out of fear, or I could live it out of love. It sounds like like it's like I like you've chosen a platform of love to jump from, which I think makes all the difference, because you can actually step out and go, you know what, even if I make that like snap decision and say, yes, let's do it. I have grace and love as a net under me to catch us if it's the wrong decision, or if it doesn't work out the way we thought or whatever. Like that kind of love we're talking about is scaffolded with nets to catch you in grace, right? Like, and it's pretty wild to just start living life going, okay, God, you've called us to this like big, beautiful, amazing frontier adventure. And there's all these like 90-degree turns that I can't see around, that I don't know if it's going to work or not, you know? And then to go, but I trust and love, like that I've got this platform of love to jump from. Let's send it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And like, it's like the more, what I heard you say is like, the more that you start choosing those acts of faith or those acts of risk in courage and in that platform of love, it just starts building on itself in a flywheel of like confidence and of like trust, really, that like my God's got us. Like this platform of love is actually real. And so it's almost like every time you take one of those risky, courageous steps, you're retesting the platform of love and going, dang, this thing is sound. This thing does hold up, right? Which to me, I just go, man, that is such a picture of an alive life, like a life of living, verdant, like serious, especially for a man's heart that like craves adventure. Like we crave being out in the woods and like hunting and, you know, all these adventurous things. And like, that's happening live right now on the streets of Costa Mesa at 9:35 on a Tuesday morning, you know, at a coffee shop. Like you're actually living in adventure, like taking these risks, like sending these emails, like making these bold requests, signing up to do a gala you've never done before. I mean, like whatever it is that like helps advance the mission that God's given you. And then to be like right there with your wife, who's like super like supportive and like, I trust you, babe, like go for it. Like, I mean, that, to me, that is such a picture. And then your faith is actually alive. It's not some like box you're checking every morning to say, I did my quiet time. Like, it's like, no, like I need you in this. Like, can we test the platform of love again this morning? you know, because I'm tempted. Fear wants to grab me and pull me off of this thing in a fearful way. But but I've got to reground in love. Otherwise I'm nothing, you know, like it's not going to work. So it just, to me, that's just such a cool snapshot of like what God what God's like. I came to give you life and life to the fullest, you know, like
that's our family verse.
Oh, is it?
John 10:10.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, how rad. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, does that, if you expand on that verse a bit, I mean, is that like, do you feel like you're living in alignment with that, or you're at least attempting to, like?
Yeah. I mean, we have seasons, but yes, I think so overall. Yeah. I think like our whole family, like our life, you know, from doing foster care to going on these adventures. And Megan and I went on this epic sea kayaking trip last year. We kayaked 40 miles around the Channel Islands and went across this open ocean channel for 8 miles in a kayak. And and then like everything with Legacy Makers and it's just like, it's just who we are. Like we just have to like it's like, what else is there, you know? What are we gonna do? Like sit around and, you know? And I think that's like, maybe there's a difference. Maybe there's this like traits that maybe we've been given, I don't know, that somehow give us like the ability in a different way than others. But I just think it's like,
well, in I'll just throw my theory on that for a second. Like you may have some specific traits where you both love adventure and it's just kind of like wired into you guys. But like my sense is that it wouldn't be flourishing the way it is if it was like you were jumping from like a platform of fear, you know, like where like our identity is wrapped up in, because we're a rock climbing family or something, we have to go rock climbing. And guess what? Your kids hate rock climbing because they know you're doing it out of like some identity thing to like
prove ourselves
or be part of your ego because we're such an adventurous rock climbing family, you know? But it's like, no. Like we do it because we're jumping from this platform of love. Like rock climbing is not our identity. It's just an expression of what love looks like as we step out into the world.
I think we've like just grown to love the beauty, even of failure, like the beauty of the valleys, of the beauty of the mountaintops, and just like how it's just up and down. And it's like, you wouldn't have a mountaintop unless you've gone through the valley. And, so there's just beauty in all of it too.
Yeah. You know? Like you said in the beginning, this movement of Legacy Makers is nationwide. Like churches all over the nation are starting to pop off and be like, dude, we want this for our congregation. And what are some of the like if you're just speaking honestly about some of the valleys that you've either been through or going through right now, like, because yes, this is a passion. Like, yes, this is a calling, but it has a price. It has a cost. Like, and I like to continue to wake up each day and say yes. Like I've watched you like over the last 5 years, like continually choose yes when there's probably a lot of things screaming at you that want to say no, you know? I'm just curious, like what are some of those valleys that you've had to walk through this process? Yeah.
I mean, I think one thing that I've learned this year specifically is like growth requires sacrifice, both from like just a personal sense and practically speaking, like financially too. Like it requires a sacrifice. And there's certain things that I don't possess. There's certain traits and skills that I just don't have. But there are people that do. And so in order to grow, like we need to get the people into the fold. And I think any startup like that, it requires that level of sacrifice. Like we got to get the people that know how to do the certain thing. And so, you know, it's just like you have to be willing to take those hits. And I didn't want to swallow that pill for a long time until this year, mainly because like the vision that we've had has really expanded over the past year and a half or so. We've really just leaned in. Okay, this is like a real thing. God's doing this, but it's not done. And his vision is to see all families restored to the way that he intended them. For us, that's a big vision. And so to get there, like it's just going to take sacrifice. It's going to have to, it's going to require that. So it's been an interesting year in that sense. Yeah. What was the question again?
Yeah. Well, I was just wondering about the valleys. And so what I hear you saying is like, there's sacrificial valleys that we have to dip into and feel some of the rub and the fire and the pain of maybe not having certain things when we need them or want them, or having to say like, we're going to do it anyways. And I have no idea how it's going to happen or work, you know? I wonder, that platform of love we talked about earlier, like, do you experience that getting attacked or threatened, like, as you're in those valleys? How do you, like, how does that manifest or come to life in your leadership?
Well, I mean, I think first of all, it doesn't, just because you're getting attacked or just because you're experiencing a level of opposition doesn't mean the answer is no, or doesn't mean you need to give up or, you know, choose a different calling.
Yeah.
Because I think it just, there's a level of sacrifice for anything. But yeah, it does get attacked. And even this year has been an interesting year in terms of just my understanding of, and I think it has to do with just my personal expectations, my expectations of when I expect God to show up, you know, versus like when he's actually going to show up, and trying to get those in line.
Yeah.
It's not easy because I'm like, okay, we've been doing this for 5 years. There's got to be like, okay, we got to be hitting certain things at this level. And, you know,
I'm telling people this is our vision and it's going to hit these milestones.
Yeah. You have all these like made up ideas of like what's going to happen and when it's going to happen. And it just never works out that way.
But honestly, like, is there disappointment in that? Like, is there like a bit of a grieving that you have to move through, or like, cause it's like, hey, that was, cause I really want to understand, like these are the ups and downs and the curves and the twists of the windy roads of these callings that God has invited us into. And then there's like the reality of like, I'm disappointed. We wanted 100 people at that gala and there was 45 or whatever the, you know, like, and it's like, what's going on? Like, and I could see how that could push you off or push you off of that platform of love we were talking about earlier. And so does that happen for you? Like,
well, yeah, I think, like I was saying, like this year has been like a sacrificial year for us financially. And that's been very discouraging.
Yeah.
It's been very like hard to like, okay, is this like I've wrestled with the thought again, and I do it every year. It's like, Lord, is this what you're doing? Like, is this what you want? And then there's this like, I don't know what it is, but I sometimes I get upset and I'm like frustrated with God. And I'm like, okay, well, you know what? If you're not going to do it, I'm going to do it. You know, whatever, you can do what you want, Lord. I'm going to go take care of this. I'm going to help families. I'm going to restore the family. I get that arrogance inside of me.
Totally. Which is natural. Like when we get disappointed with, say, our spouse, it's like, separate, fine, I'm doing my own thing. You know, it's very human, you know, how we deal with relationships.
Oh yeah. But yeah, there's been a lot of disappointment. Yeah, even with the gala, like just perfect example. You know, it's fresh. I'm still sitting with it. Like there was a goal that we had set. We didn't hit it. We still, I mean, for our first gala, you know, for a nonprofit, it was an amazing gala. Like for the first one, it was great. It was really, honestly, like went off with such success, but it wasn't exactly what I wanted. And so it was like the Sunday afterwards, and I'm like looking at the numbers, going through all the finances and stuff from the entire event. And I'm like, dang, man, we didn't get it. And I was like, Lord, I thought we were going to get this number. So I was like kind of sad. I was like a little bit weepy. And I was like, just sharing my dissatisfaction and disappointment with Meg. And we had like a sweet little intimate moment of just connecting and just hugging over it. And, but yeah, like it does happen. And I think that in that moment, there was like this safety and security in my wife to like just console me essentially. But then there's also like the realization, like that was like my initial reaction, right? That was like the day after actually. So I was like kind of bummed, kind of deflated. But then the next day and then like the next day after, you know, it's almost like I kind of go back up a little bit. I'm like, start seeing the bright side of things. I'm start seeing like, okay, actually this is really good. Like I start like, you know what, actually that was a good amount of money. And that was excluding ticket sales. And that was excluding, you know, the sponsorships we got for the event at the beginning. So overall I was like, actually we were like halfway at the goal. We were like 50%, which isn't bad, you know, for our first gala. And then we also had a great turnout. We had like 120 people there, half the people I'd never met.
Yeah.
Wow. I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty good. Like I got a lot of great people that I can start getting to know and meeting and hearing where they're at. But then just like hearing the feedback from different people, and it was like, people said it was really good, great program. And it's like something that we can build on. So it's like, there was like that initial disappointment. And I think this comes back to the support system. Like you have these people that are really next to you, like they're shoulder to shoulder with you. And they're like, hey, Ben, come on, like look at the bright side. Like
look at the large,
put your head up.
Yeah.
Like look what's happening, you know? I think that was really helpful.
That's cool. That's really cool. Like when we're talking about this like platform of love, is that like when you have people around you that are vision led, that are spirit led, like they can actually be the hands and feet of Jesus and be like, yo man, can I administer love to you right now?
Totally.
And invite you back into like this larger story of love that you've been invited into, you know? Amongst the battle, amongst the fears, amongst all the disappointments, but it's a lot bigger, you know, than some of these smaller stories we get stuck in. Dang, man, that's so good. Love it. I think one thing I would love to just touch on, and we can start wrapping it up here, but you and I, like we had a special season probably 3 years ago in a coaching relationship, and that was probably like what, year 2 or 3 into Legacy Makers kind of conception and moving. And I just was curious, like, how did that influence or shape how you led and what you created coming into these last 3 or 4 years? Just curious if there's any like takeaways from that season that stood out to you.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've said this to many people, but it was it was a life-changing experience, having that time with you, Seth, and just from the mindset shifts that I made that were made in me. I feel like there was 2 core things that really just affected a lot of things. One is just the learnings on integrity and matching my words to my actions, and as it relates to the vision and being able to use my word to pull me and the organization forward, like casting a vision, casting a big vision and putting my word to it and saying, this is what we're going to be doing. This is what we're going to do in 10 years and being held to it. That was a total game changer. We've even incorporated parts of that concept into the legacy development system and how they come into this group and they're learning about that. They're learning how to live with integrity. They're learning how to have these values and not just talk about them, but actually live them out, how to build trust with their kids. So that was just, game changer. And then the other thing I would say too was just the whole idea of like the intuitive fence, the meta performance idea, the idea of like what's possible, not just like what's the best, but actually let's talk about what's actually possible. Let's explore that. Yeah. What are you capable of?
Yeah.
And that was a big deal. And I think I've really loved that and appreciated how that has impacted my curiosity to question, like, what else is there? What else can we do?
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. Because sometimes we can step into vision and talk about what we know or what we've done in the past and go, hey, this is who I know I am to be to this date. Now let me go cast vision. But what oftentimes happens is you go cast vision in the trappings of all the old stories and all the old ways in which you've operated up until this point.
Yeah.
And so, it's fun to like actually get in and start flexing and playing with the vision and getting us to start seeing outside of the possibilities of what we think we can do, that intuitive fence you mentioned. And then it's like, whoa, look at it. Look at what else is out there, And oftentimes we're like, like that's what I've been trying to access. Like that's what I've been trying to like say or get after. And yet the only way I've been able to say it is from the past. And so like getting into that creative space of like, well, what could it be? And having a space to sort of work that out in a coaching space.
Yeah. And especially as it relates to like thinking about what's possible, like drawing the line around like, hey, this is what we know is possible.
Yeah.
And then having an intentional decision. And then, like I said, using your word to say, okay, this feels impossible right now.
Yeah.
There's like this, just one step further. And it's like, I don't know if we can do that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
There's like that sense, but then having the space, having the opportunity and the time, the dialogue, and then the questions, like you're really asking like deep questions, like what's getting in the way? And you have to have that. Like you have to have someone to sit there and really just poke at you because you get in your own way. Like we get in our own way. And if we really want to experience the fullness and all that God has allowed us to have and explore and experience, and like we have to have someone who's going to sit there and ask us those questions about like, where are we getting in the way? Like what's causing the hang up here? Like, why did you not do that? Like what was in the, like, what was one of my favorite questions from you is like, what was more important than your integrity? I'm like, dang, dude,
It's so funny to see what comes up. It's like pleasing my wife or like not knowing how to get off this call and to be on time or, all these things just start surfacing.
Yeah.
And then you're like, and I don't ask those questions to like create a, I got you moment. It's more of like no, I'm seriously curious. Like what's getting in the way? Cause ideally your word works 100% of the time. Say you're going to do it, say you're going to do it. And then it happens. Right. And so we celebrate that when it happens. We're like, heck yeah. Like, I love that you kept your word. But then when it doesn't happen, it's this moment to go, okay, let's hold the phone. There's a glitch in the matrix here. Like, what's going on? Let's open the hood and see, because, and oftentimes what we see, what gets revealed is these patterns that we have in all sorts of areas of our lives that we can then go, that's how I'm getting, I have like, for example, like for me, it's typically like pleasing people. Like I don't want to like hurt someone or displease them.
Yeah.
And so I'll forsake what I said I was going to do just to make sure that this is okay, you know? And in reality, like, wow, that's getting in my way all over the place because
Yeah.
I don't ask for bold requests because I'm worried they won't be pleased with me or they won't,
Yeah.
it just has these like ramifications everywhere.
Yeah. But the way that you do it is back to the idea of love. It's like such a love service, and it's out of a place of love. Like you're doing it out of a place of love and like shared desire to see the best take place in whoever you're serving and working with. And it's, for me, I love that. I feed off that. Like I was saying, like I love feedback. I love to hear like, okay, what do I need to do? What can I change? What can I do differently?
Yeah.
And so it's helpful for me, and I take it as like, this is a love service. But yeah, it's like, that's what it's all about. And that's what you do so well.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, that's like a picture of advocacy, right? Like, and lots of times we don't see love and advocacy like together. Like, and I think that's such a beautiful picture of like, it's a different form of love that some of us don't connect with very often, is like somebody who's asking you the hard questions and like really cares about how you're getting in your way of what you say you're designed for, the glory of your life.
Yeah.
Which is, to me, is like the heartbeat of why I do what I do, is because we've all have this glory that God has given us, in this passion and this vision and this calling he's put on our lives. And if we're just living like just a small piece of that, I think it's just a travesty. It's like, and most of it's just because of this whole world of fear yelling at you, telling you to be this, when in reality you're designed to be this. And I just think that's such a tragedy to see like a life lived in such a diminished way. And so it's like, man, let's get you back into that platform of love that you talked about and see what you can go create.
Yeah.
Especially with God. So thanks so much, man, for just exploring this. It's been so cool to see how like, that space you were talking about that we were in together. I feel like you and Meg and the whole Legacy Maker team is really holding that space for families to go step into something much larger, a much grander and much richer, and life to the full vision, and
Totally.
And to see
That's
the fruit that's coming out of these families that are just in our neighborhood that I've seen and over through the nation. It's been insane to see the fruit that's starting to pour out of these families, and you can just see it in their eyes, like the alignment, the clarity, the vision, and then just the joy and the excitement of like, dude, we're living our vision, we're living the fullness of our calling, and how that feels so integrate. We're talking about integrity. It just feels so whole and so right. And you're like, yes, like let's send some more of those families out, right?
It's the best, man.
So, thank you so much for what you do. I think it's such a gift and so needed. And yeah, man, really appreciate the conversation.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Seth. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah.